we are back for episode number 98 of Cheers to Careers. This is actually our last episode of the spring semester. Today I'm joined by KU alum Allie Raymond. She is the Director of Organic Social with the LA Chargers and the NFL. Welcome, Allie.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me.
So looking at your LinkedIn profile, kind of your career bio, I got to assume this is kind of a dream job, a great fit. I mean, you like sports, NFL, and you like social media, and it seems like you kind of combine those two.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know at what point in my career this became the dream, but it took me a few stops to get there. But I feel very lucky every day that I get to work for the Chargers.
And you kind of consider them your hometown team, right? I know probably when you grew up it was more San Diego.
Yes, of course.
So is this a team you always kind of want to connect with?
It didn't really feel like it'd be even possible, but yeah, I grew up my whole life cheering for the Chargers, and it does feel like a bit of a dream to work for, I still say, the hometown team.
And I know I see a lot of director of social media titles, and yours is very specific about organic social media. Can you kind of describe a little bit about what that involves?
Yeah, of course. So at the Chargers, we kind of have two different branches in our social media, which is great so that everyone can have a separate focus. We have like a paid social side, so they are handling all of our ads on Meta, ads on TikTok, anything that, is there's kind of a paid spend behind with specific targeting. My team, we're lucky that, we get to work in the organic space. So everything that we're posting is very much catered for like our entire fans as a whole. There's not, we get boosting and things like that from that side, but our focus is solely on creating content with, no ads, nothing like that, just targeted at the people who follow us and maybe someone who stumbles upon us.
So what do you think the key is to organic? I mean, I have a little bit of background on that. I mean, I always want to be consistent, authentic, where it doesn't come across as too advertising. And it looks like you've got access to the field. I mean, I know you shared some great photos of you talking to players on the field. I mean, do you have a lot of creative freedom with your position?
So much. No, we're incredibly lucky here. Not every team is kind of either staffed in the way that we are or has the creative freedom that we have. I think the key to, our jobs is knowing who our fans are. We're like very online, like too online sometimes, because we like to know like kind of what's going on in pop culture and how that interacts with the NFL and our team. But most importantly, I always tell our team that like I want us to feel inviting to a casual fan and maybe someone who's not an NFL fan or a Chargers fan, because sometimes the X's and O's and things like that can feel like a barrier of entry for someone who might want to become a football fan. And I want the Chargers social accounts to feel like a place where you can come and learn more about the players and their backstories and their personalities. And then that's one way we can get you to, become a fan, watch the games, buy merch, get tickets, things like that. That's kind of like our goal, is that it's a place that fans who have knowledge of any level can come to us and enjoy the content that we're putting out.
And Allie, when you get a creative idea, I'm sure you have quite a few of those. Is it a tough pitch to a player? Are they pretty receptive to some of your ideas, or how does that process?
No, we're incredibly lucky that we've also have some built-in trust. Our senior director of digital and social, Megan Julian, has been here for years and has established great relationships with players. It's been handed down to me and my team. And we come with them with a lot of really silly ideas, and we already have built-in trust that they know that whatever we're making, creating, we always have kind of like them in the forefront of our mind, that we never do anything to embarrass them. But they're along for the ride, and I think a lot of our stuff is, really silly, and they enjoy the end product for sure.
And I know you really caught my attention probably close to a year ago when you did the Chargers, the 2024 schedule release. And I would have to think that took a lot of planning. I mean, I had to read about, playing The Sims, and I guess you've got some background in that. I was very in tune to your Chiefs references, of course, with Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, and then super Chiefs fan, Chiefsaholic. So that really resonated with me here in the Kansas City area. So what was that process like? I would think you got a lot of attention over that.
Yeah, so the schedule release kind of like day and release became like a while ago. It became like teams started making videos and everyone was kind of trying to one up each other. And even before I started at the Chargers, they had done an anime schedule release video that had done really well. And that kind of kicked off like the thematic style that we have of like, kind of like poking fun at our opponents and poking fun at ourselves and pulling in pop culture references. So we had done anime twice, and then when it came time to last year, thinking about how the mechanics of knowing that we wanted something that was nostalgic, that fans of all ages could like appreciate or remember playing, when they were younger, that was able to easily slide into place because we don't find out the actual schedule until like maybe 24 hours before it's released. So it's got to be movable. And somehow we landed on The Sims because I had grown up playing it my entire life. And it was just really fun because even like in multiple generations, my intern plays too and has only ever played the newest version of The Sims. So I got to introduce her to Sims 2 that was, around when I was in like middle school. And so she and I worked on it together and the actual building of the scenes. And luckily I work with so many creative people that there's no way I could come up with like any of these jokes by myself. There's like 20 people in a room. We have like a burn book of where we put all of our jokes for other teams. And they kind of helped us with what the scene would be. And then Hannah Johnson, my intern, and I kind of would just go back to our desks and play The Sims, which was surreal. I never thought I'd be just playing The Sims on like the company dime at work, but it took months. And but yeah, seeing the response was amazing. And yeah, it's always fun to like post and then go scroll through all the comments.
So were any of those inside jokes created by you?
A few, yeah, no, of course, yeah. I think it's like, when we like to find the ideas that are like institutional knowledge, we like to call it. So like I had more knowledge of like, the things that simmers do. Like, you put people in the pool and you take away the like the ladder to get in and out, and that's how you kill people in the game. Or like, there's other little things of lore. So yeah, it was fun to weave in like what I knew from growing up into the NFL and like the different end credit scenes too. Like you can have a player can give birth to an alien baby, and like that does feel like something Aaron Rodgers might experience.
So did your leadership team, I mean, were they on board from the get-go, or did it take some convincing to make this happen?
Not a ton of convincing. I think we have a pretty good process. What we would essentially make each scene and then show it to, our head of communications and, our leader of our side, trying to figure out, what's over the line, what's safe, what's good. And so every step of the way, we have multiple people from multiple different facets of the organization that weigh in, knowing that, of course, we're going to like take some risk here. But usually for us, we find that the risk is worth the reward.
And I think we're, a week to 10 days away from 2025 schedule release. So is it pressure to top what you've done? Can you give us a little tease what's going to happen here in about 10 days?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, we're very close. May 14th, the schedule comes out. We've been working on this video for months. No spoilers from me. But I think like last year, I think people will have a lot of fun finding different Easter eggs that we always do.
Because I guess your division opponents, but you don't know who the rest of the schedule is, right?
Yes, so we always know our opponents, and that's kind of like that's usually settled after the like the regular season the year before. But we have no idea how it's going to be laid out. So it's important that those blocks are easily able to like kind of weave in together. That David Bretto on our video team is really good at slotting everything in, so it makes sense.
And I know before you joined the Chargers, you spent some time with the Browns and the Broncos. What was it like with the Browns? Because I know you probably had to get creative, because I know didn't they have like an 0-16 season one time?
They did, yeah. When I started there, my very first season, they went 1-15, which I thought there's nothing that could be worse than 1-15. 0-16 is worse than 1-15, and that was my second season. It stretched my creativity more than I ever thought I would need it to. But in a way, like I look back on that, it was a fun moment, and I was there for 5 years. So I started when they were 1-15, and my last season they had won a playoff game. So they finally they reached that point as I was leaving, and I was very happy for all my coworkers. But yeah, it was an experience that was a lot for someone who had never solely run a social channel before. But again, I was also lucky that we had leadership that was willing to take chances, and that I think was like a huge turning point for my career, even so young.
So when you're like 1-15, 0-16, I mean, you're still trying to have fun with social media, but what is kind of that fine line? I mean, where you think, God, is this going to work? Is this going to be embarrassing to the team? I mean, did you have kind of that back and
Oh
forth, like,
yeah.
what do you want to do?
I think it was always like whatever I did, I wanted to be able to like face the players in the locker room the next day and not have them hate me. And so that was such something that I always kept in mind. And a lot of it was like, well, we're talking like 2016, like social media at this point was still feels like it was like in its infancy, and live tweeting was such a different world than it is now. And I mean, I'd be sitting there and just I'd pull up a GIF because it's 2016 and GIFs were very popular, and be like, "Is this?" And I just like turn to my boss and be like, "Is this okay?" And he's like, "Why not? Like, we're down by like 4 touchdowns. Like, what could be? It's not going to be your fault. We lose this game." Um, and yeah, we got buy-in from our executive team at some point, like halfway through the season, that I was able to show them that little things I had tried were working, and that our fans were like, "Oh my God, they're like self-aware." And I was like, "Yeah, no, we know." And we had started having like our version of like a meeting every week where we decided like what we were gonna do if we really did go 0-16, and so for months we had like brainstormed like this is a historical moment. No team has ever gone 0-16 in a social media era. The Lions had done it, but I don't even know if they had a Facebook page at the time. So how do we like lean in a way that people will remember? And yeah, it was fun to. It was in a way when it actually happened. I was like, I can't believe I actually get to do this thing we've talked about for months. And it was such a great experience for me so young in my career for sure.
Now, maybe this has changed over time, but during the games, are you on the field creating content, or are you like in the
In the press box,
row?
yes.
Press
Yeah,
box,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, always in the press box with my laptop doing either live tweeting or helping my team, and head down to the field post game. Yeah.
Okay. And do you get to travel with the team home and away?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
Yeah. Luckily, less and less as I get through. I like giving those opportunities to other people.
And when that Chargers job came open, I mean, I assume you jumped at that, or did they kind of recruit you away from
I'm really
around?
lucky that like the NFL is kind of a small community and of those that are working social media. So I had known my manager, Megan, for years at that point. And so she reached out to me and about the job that hadn't even come open. And it seemed like a perfect fit. And it was once I met everybody, it was an easy decision.
And before the Browns, I think you spent a short time with the Denver Broncos, but you were there at an exciting time. They won a Super Bowl. I know you shared that great photo of touching the Lombardi Trophy. What was that experience like?
Oh my God, I really lucked out. It ruined kind of like my perspective at what it's like to work in the NFL, I think. I was like, you win Super Bowls all the time. Yeah, I mean, there were so many things that I felt just like so incredibly lucky. I learned so much from that. It was my second post-grad internship. My parents were incredibly stressed that I was ever going to find a full-time job. But then once I had that experience, they were like, oh, okay, maybe it's all worth it. It being Peyton Manning's last season in the NFL, getting to be there for all of his moments with his family when, he knew he was going to be retiring, and getting to actually experience like a Super Bowl week and all that goes into it. And then, of course, just being in the locker room after a Super Bowl win when, everyone's just passing around the trophy and then all of a sudden it ends up in your hands. It was a remarkable experience, and yeah, it ruined me. I mean, then I went to Cleveland, and I went from winning the Super Bowl to not winning a single game, which I say I'm like I've done it all at this point.
And you even got a Super Bowl ring, right?
I did, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they were amazing, and gave Super Bowl rings to all the interns, and yeah, it was an awesome experience.
And I think they even, because you had actually taken the Browns job before the ring was even created, so they actually had to mail that to you.
Yes, I was incredibly fortunate. That internship like really set me up for the social job at the Browns. And so I was like literally in Santa Clara 3 days before the Super Bowl on the phone with my future boss, accepting a job position, and which was incredible. And then promptly came back to Denver and moved right after the Super Bowl parade to Cleveland. So I was, yeah, shocked when they emailed me asking for my ring size, and then with sending an item like that, they had to send it to, yeah, the Browns, who had to hold on to it for me until I was able to come get it.
So, Allie, what do you kind of consider your first professional break? I mean, it sounds like you did a good job of making connections and building those skills. I know you had an internship, I believe, with University of Arkansas. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you kind of consider what got you to that NFL level? You think?
I mean, like I learned a lot from the Arkansas position. That was like right after I graduated from Kansas. Because when I was at KU, I was working as a student assistant in the athletic department, uh, which was huge for me in my career. Like my manager there, Katie Lonergan, who oversaw football communications for KU, she was the one who got me the position at Arkansas because initially I really wanted to work in college athletics, and then realized I really didn't want to. But I wouldn't have known that unless I had taken that position. But I mean, certainly in a way, the Broncos were such a huge break because that got me my first full time job. But then honestly, the pain that the Browns and their fans went through, that was a huge moment for me because it's someone just emailed me about that like yesterday. I was so shocked. They're like, "Oh, I was just thinking about the Browns and that 0-16 time when you were on social." And I was like, "Oh, wow, people are still thinking about that." Um, so maybe in a way like that made me so many connections that, maybe in a way the misery that we all went through and the terrible football I had to witness was in a way maybe my professional maybe that was my moment.
Moments ago, you mentioned your parents. Like, I think when you were doing the Broncos, did your parents know what you were doing? I mean, when they say, "Oh, you're doing social media," are they thinking, "Is
Oh
that a
gosh,
job?"
they still don't really know. I mean, like sometimes for fun, I ask them, I'm like, "What do you think I do all day?" And they're like, "You post things." And I was like, "I don't even do that anymore." Um, so yeah, I think they're very proud in the way that they can for two people who don't have social media. So
And I know you said you were communications student assistant at KU. What other kind of memories do you have at KU? I mean, here at the J school, I mean, are there certain classes that really clicked with you that help kind of prepare you for what you're doing right now?
yeah, I mean, my experience at KU athletics and KU in general was massive. There's so many people that I wish I could have remembered by name, but I mean, I loved the J school so much. It was the whole reason why I went to Kansas, and it was, yeah, I had a great you know connections that I made through the school. I always had like a guy, like my counselor that would connect me with different professors. I remember saying that I wanted to work in sports, and they would connect me with one of the professors who specialized in sports at the journalism school, and so I had a conversation with them. They helped facilitate probably the biggest moment for me. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, when I was working through my schedule, like my sophomore year, I expressed that I was interested in sports, and like the counselor was like, well, we have a connection, of course, a relationship with the sports management at KU. Would you be interested in taking, like, as one of your electives, like a sports management 101 class? And it was with Professor Lumpkin, who's no longer at KU, but she was incredible, and was very like involved in, our assignments were so real world. Like one of them was interviewing somebody who had the job that you wanted. And I took that assignment and called the Kansas Athletic Department and said, I have this assignment in the sports manager school to interview somebody who has the job I want. Is there anybody at the communications office I could talk to? And Todd Cover, who at the time was the head of athletic communications, called me back and set up a time. And I came into his office and I interviewed him for this assignment I had for my class. At the end of it, he asked me if I was interested in working at the athletic department, and would I like a job. And so that was truly, like, that was my moment of getting into sports, was an assignment from a class that was just an elective that the journalism school helped set up for me. And that was everything that kicked it off. And, that's how I got to where I am. It's, you never know what small class you could be in or instructor that you meet, that might kind of set you up for the rest of your career.
And you're from San Diego area. How did you end up at KU?
My dad's a KU grad, so I'm a second generation Jayhawk, and I grew up a huge fan. And he was always so passionate, and he's from Buffalo originally, and so always talked about his move from New York to Kansas. And I grew up. It was like a very easy decision. I knew I wanted to do journalism, and he basically was like, well, Kansas has a great journalism school. And I was like, oh, okay. And came out on my visit, and even seeing the brick walls behind you, like, brings me back. And just seeing the journalism school, and yeah, it was an easy decision.
You make it to Lawrence very often, or like
I,
when you play
I
East,
wish I
you
came
make the trip?
more. I came with my college roommate. I'm so lucky to still be close, and we came 2 years ago to see a football game and have a fall weekend on my bye week. So it's been 2 years since I've been back, but I miss it.
So, what advice do you have to our current students who might want to do what you do? Is there anything they should be prepared to do?
Try everything. If anyone has any advice, run it down. Like, you have no idea what connections you might make somewhere. Almost every job I've ever had was not because anyone at that place knew me, but they knew a person I worked with. And I was lucky to have connections with people who are willing to stick their necks out for me. And, take any experience you can. I tell people all the time, even like high school, like, photographers, if you want to get into sports photography, start taking pictures at your local high school football games. There's opportunity everywhere for someone who's willing to definitely put the work in. I moved and have lived in every time zone in the continental US for this career, essentially. And yeah, it's a hectic and crazy lifestyle. But yeah, be ready to say yes to everything.
How is kind of the time commitment? I mean, I know that you have the 17-week schedule, but now the NFL seems to be pretty much year round anymore.
Yeah, it's not your typical 9 to 5 job. It is your working weekends. I mean, I joke, once training camp starts in July, I don't get a weekend off until the bye week, and then after the bye week, it's the end of the season. So I work 7 days a week in season, travel days and game days. Even if I'm not at the game, I'm here leading our team from our office on the coverage from back at the Bolt. And so yeah, it is you have to be incredibly passionate, or it'll be a grind.
Well, I'm looking forward to the schedule reveal. It's May 14th, right?
Yes.
I think yours is going to be the first one I look for. So yeah, can't wait to see it. So yeah,
Thank you.
I want to close with Fast Five. So, Allie, what is the first social media campaign account that caught your attention? Either, I assume growing up, there was maybe a social media post or some account that really inspired you.
I will never forget Wendy's, and people are still trying to this day to be like Wendy's and not being successful. That stands out to me as the first like internet snarky account that people keep trying to copy the magic that was that Wendy's Twitter account like a decade ago.
So I think it's been 8 years since the Chargers changed from San Diego to LA. Do you ever mess it up? Do you still work with them in San Diego?
Nope.
You got it down?
No, that one's easy. Yeah, I started in LA, so it's working here, so that's easy.
Who's your favorite Charger of all time, either past or present?
Junior Seau.
Junior Seau, awesome. So you got a Super Bowl ring. How often do you wear that Super Bowl ring and show it off?
Never. It's never. The poor thing sits in its box. Yeah.
People have to ask. They have to see it though when they visit you, right?
They do, but yeah, then they realize they're like, oh, it's kind of gaudy, and I was like, yeah, it's definitely not made for everyday wear.
So if this NFL social media position hadn't worked out, what do you think you'd be doing professionally?
I wanted so badly to be a writer. That would have been either a novelist or I dreamt of being like a feature writer in New York for, Vanity Fair, something like that. I think that would have been it.
Nice. Well, I think you're doing fine. Hey, again, I appreciate your time and keep up the great work. And always like to close with a little cheers. I don't know. I think you might have a special championship mug from 2022. Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks again, Allie. Appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. Cheers.
Cheers.